Hello, what I'm going to talk to you today about is the 4 phases of the Tuckman model of how teams come together. Now, before you were a team, you were a group of disparate people, sometimes desperate people as well, coming together to form something that we call a team. Now, in that first phase, and you may have heard these words before, you're going into what Tuckman calls forming. And in that forming phase, many of you are a little bit confused about why you're there. Some people really love the detail of what's going on. You know, those people who are coloured blue in the Discovery Insight. Some people just really want to get on with it and just take charge and fly with it. Those people coloured red. But of course, there are also other people who want to understand how it is going to affect them and other people. So there's this whole mishmash of needs that are required in order to form the team. And it's up to the leader of that team to really progress those thoughts and pull out and tease what really it matters to the people in his or her team, and then help that team understand the various roles, responsibilities, and the goals of the team. It might be the phase where you make a purpose, where you describe your vision. What is it about? Why are we here? What's going on? What do we need to achieve? And so on. When do we need to achieve it? Having got that, you think you've got it all sorted, and the leader is very proud of the away day that you've had and the team building exercises that you've done. And then you get into the next phase, which is storming. Now, storming doesn't really need to be a great big battle, although sometimes it can be. And sometimes if people's voices aren't heard, they speak louder. And when they speak louder, the energy goes up, and maybe not in the right sort of way. So you can get a kind of a storm, an argument. If there's conflict going on, there will be, watch out for this, there will be people in that team that suddenly shy away from the conflict and get really, really quiet. And often it's the people with the loudest voices who are heard and their ideas carried through. But in order to be a real team, everybody's concerns needs to come out. The concerns often come through a lack of clarity that have come out of the forming phase. But also things change and circumstances change, and people's own sphere of influences change. And in that space, you may bring those changes back into the team, and it kicks things off again. Sometimes people agree to do certain job, and then for some reason or other, there's something gets in the way and they can't achieve that anymore. And sometimes there are people who are just slacking a bit and maybe not pulling their own weight, and others spot it. So this storming phase is an ideal opportunity to really unearth any of those concerns, any of those natural resistances that come up. And the more open and the more authentic you can be in that space, the better. Really, the top tip for the storming phase is to really seek first to understand before you speak. It comes from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, and it's one of the, for me, it's one of the best. Seek first to understand what's going on in someone else's world before you offer your opinion about how you think it may, the situation may evolve and go forward. So we've formed, we've stormed, then we get into the norming phase. And in the norming phase, there are real agreements and there's consensus, and things just move along quite nicely. It could be a bit of a plateau phase in many ways. Teams here just operate. Goals are met, and so on and so forth. There's very little discussion, because we don't need to. We know what we're doing, and then we move into performing. Well, in performing, you're actually getting really close to the goals you set. You're with each other all the way. You kind of, if you want to put it into a Lord of the Rings context, you're going into battle as one. All those different factions coming together as one. If you're on a sailing boat, you're all pulling, and you're in that storm in the sea, the winds are blowing high, and you're all really pulling together. You've got each other's backs, you know what others need, you know what you need, everyone's supporting each other, very, very performing. There is, of course, high performing, which is another level, and we can go on to that on another video if you want to. But after performing, then there's adjourning. Normally teams only survive for a certain period of time. I was on, probably the longest team I was on was a 2-year project for the year 2000. And of course that ended at the year 2000. So that team, we gelled, we had each other's back, we knew what we were doing. And sometimes in an adjournment, there's a little bit of sadness as well, because you actually get to know people very, very well, and then you split off and go off in other areas. If you have that when you finish your project or whatever it is you're doing at the moment and move on, and there is a tinge of sadness, well, congratulations, because you've done a good job. Now, there are certain things that the leader can do in each of those phases in order to expedite the process. I've worked in teams where we were told, forget the forming, storming and norming, get to performing really, really quickly because we haven't got time to do anything else. We're on a project for a month, and maybe you can deal with that in a month. I was speaking to a pilot only yesterday, pilot for EasyJet, and I said, how do you go through this? Because each and every day you turn up for work, you have a different co-pilot, you have a different cabin crew, they're all different. Now, there are reasons for that. In the airline industry, the reason is you can get complacency coming in. If you're working with the same people all the time, you have to go through this checklist of things that you do in order to make sure the plane is safe to fly. Then sometimes complacency can take over because you did it yesterday and the weather's the same as it was yesterday and the crew's the same and it's the same plane. So, yeah, it's okay, we don't need to worry. But by having a different crew each time, everybody wants to make sure that the procedures are followed. And in the airline industry, that team, every single person knows exactly what their role is, what their responsibility is, and how they do it. Also, there's zero room for creativity. You don't want a creative pilot flying the plane. You want someone who knows how to do it and follows instructions thoroughly. In your place of work, you want some creativity. Creativity is the father of things becoming leaner, quicker, more agile, and so on. You want to have that flexibility. So in that space of forming, the leader really can do an awful lot to shape the team, but also listen to the people in the team to form that team, to make sure you're all aligned and going forward. In the space of storming, just hear what the concerns are before you make any judgments about what's going on. Norming, you keep things going, and you reward the milestones. You actually recognize what's happening at any one point and know that there's more to come, but keep rewarding, reward success. And at the end, yes, of course, you need a celebration of some sort to say, well done, everybody, we achieved the goals. So the other watch out is if you have a team member or more that actually dips out and new people come in, to some extent, you are starting again, you're reforming. Those people need to be onboarded. Their journey is often a little sharper and a little quicker because they need to get up to speed really quickly. But make no mistake, they are also going through the forming, storming, norming and performing phases, just like everybody else did. And even some people at some page may go backwards, and not everyone's in the same phase at the same time anyway. There's a lot to look out for. So if you want to know more about that, then I would urge you to discuss it amongst yourselves, find out what it is you need in each of those phases and address the issues. Good luck with the team.